Hello, you are listening to the Mets in the UK podcast, your home for Mets content here in the UK. You can catch us on Spotify, YouTube, and all good podcast hosts every Tuesday. You can also find us on all the usual socials: Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, and X at Mets in the UK, or you can use the hashtag MITUK to get involved. Going to get the plug out the way at the start of the show. Reminder: Sheffield, Yorkshire, north of England, 14th of September, we've got our baseball watch along party with the Orioles crew at Box in Sheffield. It's pinned on our socials pages. Come on down, watch some baseball with good baseball folk. Have a good evening. It's free to come. Just watch the game together. It's Mets Rangers that evening. We'll also sing happy birthday for Jo in her absence because it is her birthday on the 14th. She will be 21, of course.
Yep. Yes.
Speaking of Jo, joined this evening by Jo and Tracey. Toria is on her travels. She is at Citi Field watching baseball, so she's got a valid excuse for not being here this evening. We are also joined by Andrew. So, evening, Jo. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Basking in the glory of last night still. So, what can go wrong?
Exactly. What can go wrong? Let's not put that bad vibe out there for the podcast. Let's have a good show. Tracey, how are you doing?
Loving last night's result, and yeah, looking forward to what the rest of the series holds.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's not a microphone in sight this evening. I had to get it in there. Why not?
Yeah.
We are also joined this evening by Andrew, who you can find at Mr. Tree Mets on X. Evening, Andrew. How are you?
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me on. And yeah, I'm very, very good. Thank you.
Fantastic. So we'll start with why Andrew's on the show. Andrew's recently come back from a trip at Citi Fields, had the time of his life, and we've got some questions for him. We're going to hand it over to Jo and Tracey for this one. So, ladies, do you want to kick things off?
Go on, Tracey.
So you saw the moment that the polar bear got his home run that took him over the straw. What was the vibe? Just talk about it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, no problem at all. So on the day leading up to it, I was speaking to a few fans on the way in. Went to, is it the K Corner? I'm trying to remember the bar, the K Corner, and spoke to quite a few of the fans there. And I think we all asked the same question: is he going to do it? Is he going to do it? And a lot of people, he might do, he might not do, especially with the form that we were currently in at the time. And then like heading towards like the Citi Field or into the Citi Field itself and being at just almost opposite third base. And I think, like you said, Joe, a couple of weeks ago, he teased us in the second inning with that hit, and it just hit the wall and came back, and it was just. But you know what? From that moment, as soon as it hit that wall, you could feel the electricity in the stadium suddenly ramp up, and you had this sudden like belief, especially when we were already losing at that point. I think we were losing 1-0 from the first inning, and then thanks to his hit, and then Alvarez did the home run to make us 3-1 up. Suddenly, the electricity in the place just absolutely erupted, and you could really feel it. And I'm not. I would honestly think the players felt it from the fans because you could feel it in the stadium itself, and you know how enclosed everything is, and you could feel everybody's around you, everybody's chanting your name, and it was just you could just feel it coming. And when that moment happened, honestly, I've never seen anything like it, and honestly brought a tear to my eyes knowing I was there, and for that kind of moment to actually happen, and to know that Mr. Met came by as having our flag and wanting to take pictures, and everybody around us like, "Oh, you're from the UK." Oh, it was. You see the fireworks all going off, and the whole polar bear on the big screen. Honestly, it just gives me goosebumps just talking about it now and just kind of going through it. It's just unbelievable, and I wish you were all there with me, to be honest with you, because it was just absolutely amazing.
we lived it vicariously through you and all your pictures post those. When you were there, did you kind of interact with lots of people? Was there lots of kind of Americans asking you what you were up to while you were there and stuff?
Yeah, because the following day was that like huge storm they had, and it was meant to start. I think it was 7:10, and it didn't start till 8:45, and we ended up in the concourse area. In the I think it was the I can't remember which area it was now. I think it was the Hyundai area. And we were just talking to quite a few people. Everybody was so friendly. Everybody wanted to kind of just talk to us and just talk about the Mets. And I think they're saying that this is everybody we spoke to said this is the longest delay they've ever had to say that it was still on, because so many people said it'll be called off in a minute. It'll be called off in a minute. You might as well start heading off home. And I don't know if it's because the owners were there. They obviously want to make sure that it got played because they were there for that series. But then, very kindly, midway through, I think it was on the third inning, they gave us all a free ticket for April.
Yeah.
Which was like, wow, I was not expecting that, because you'd never get that over here. So it was just quite a shock, and such an unbelievable gesture from the owners and the Mets themselves. So yeah, it was just incredible to talk to so many people, and then talk about the home run itself. It was, you could just see it in everybody's eyes. They're so happy for Pete and to get that home run.
So for those of us listening to the pod, was this your first time at Citi Field? Have you been before? How many times have you been before?
So this is actually my second visit. I went earlier in April. So I saw a game against the Cardinals. I think it was the last game of the Cardinals there. I think Senga was the pitcher for that one. And I saw the first game of the Phillies, which we put on a very good show. It was very nail biting, but it was a good show. It was a good win for the Mets for both games. So yeah, so this was my second visit. It was just purely for the baseball and just to be there for the Brave series, because it was.
It's
just,
not a bad second visit, is it? That's pretty good going.
I know, not a bad one at all. Because I think like many of us, we all already thought that Alonso would have got that record done and dusted weeks ago, because the way it was leading up to that break, for the All-Star break, he was just on fire. So to kind of go after that, we had that bit of a dip in form, but then to kind of do it so well timely for us to be there, yeah, it was just magical, absolutely magical.
So when's the next visit? That's the question.
Yeah.
Well, now we've got this free ticket. I think that's to go back in April.
Yeah, that's a good excuse.
Yourself.
Absolutely. Now the schedule's out, it's have a cheeky look and see what's happening. And because unbelievably, if anybody's wanting to plan on to go to the Citi Field, is over the Easter weekend was the cheapest flights.
Okay.
Amazingly, I was not expecting that when we were looking to originally head over, and we booked that in, I want to say, November, and the cheapest flights and hotel was it was over the Easter period, unbelievably. So if anybody is obviously looking into wanting to see the Mets, it is definitely worth having a look over the Easter period, because it was rather cheap for us when we first booked it.
Cool.
It's good to know.
Yeah.
Thanks for the travel tip. More travel tip. You mentioned the schedule there. I think I'm just gonna segue this out of the news. I'm just gonna put it in now. The schedule for next year has come out. The two sort of main headline points: the Mets will face the Pirates at Citi Field to open the 2026 season. That's Thursday, the 26th of March for that one.
Really early.
The Mets and Yankees will play at Yankee Stadium on September 11th to observe the 25th anniversary. I feel like that's probably been a very deliberate one from MLB, and let's applaud them for doing that. That's obviously the right thing to do on that particular date. I was going to leave it there, But Laura Albanese, friend of the show, has tweeted about an interesting schedule. I don't want to get ahead and get my hopes up, but if you take a look at the Mets schedule for June, there's a weird one with the Phillies where we play the Phillies on a Thursday. There's no game on the Friday, and then there's 2 games against the Phillies on Saturday, Sunday.
Oh, Tom, what are you suggesting?
I mean, could we be seeing London series, the rematch?
They can do that again.
I would love that.
Well, we'd obviously love it. And, MLB Europe, if you're listening, make it happen. But I'm with Laura on this one. I do find it a bit strange that there is a random day off between a 3-game series between those 2 teams. It's odd, to say the least.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
Don't.
I would love for it to happen, but it looks like we're against the Cubs at home straight after.
Yeah, and that with the travel, unless that's given it scope to shuffle it a bit.
But that is a 4-game series.
Yeah, right. Oh, I don't know.
Which is unusual for a Monday.
Yeah.
Should we just leave it hanging and keep our fingers crossed?
We'll keep everything crossed that's the London series for next year. Just hope the London series is on full stop, because as the time of this is tradition with the show, as you'll all know, I will press end recording and they'll come out and announce the London series. But as the time of recording, there is no announcement for next year's London series. It's still speculation, still rumors, nothing official yet. But it's going to come tomorrow now I've said that. So
yes.
There we go. Right, we'll come back to the news. Let's recap the last week, because what a week it's been for our Mets. Lost the series to the Nationals 2-1, and last week's show we did not see that coming. Most of us had us down for winning that series. Vientos, Beatty, Soto, McNeil, Lindor, and Marte all getting home runs. Plenty on the score in that one. Mets then took the series 2-1 against the Braves, which we all thought was going to go the other way. So we did really badly with our predictions last week. Soto, McNeil, Marte, Alonso, and Vientos getting home runs. I think it's safe to say Swaggy V is back. Interestingly, for the stat people out there, the Mets are now 0-53 when trailing after 8 innings this season. Just a truly horrendous record when trailing going into the 9th. Last night, Mets beat the Phillies 13-3. Alec Boehm, big fan of boom microphones in the outfield. Louis Torrens getting the home run, which when I saw the box score when I woke up this morning, I saw 13-3. I thought, great. What? I was like, 1 home run? What's going on here? That was a bit of a crazy one. So the Mets finished 4-3 on the last week. Well done to Tracey and Tor, who correctly predicted that outcome. I was wrong. I said 3-4, but as I said last week, I'm happy to be wrong. I'm okay with it. So, Joe, thoughts on the baseball from last week?
Well, I don't want to get, ruin our vibe with BBC or MLB Europe or anything like that, but I'm going to throw it out there. The BBC have got a curse on us, because the last 2 times we've been on there, and this time we were on good momentum against the Braves. Guess what comes along? Oh, a BBC game. What's going to happen here? And then the usual hope and then heartbreak, as per last time. So
yeah.
At least the people watching, if they've never seen the Mets before, they get a good idea of what happens often during the season. So that's cool. And in honor of Tori, who's not here, I'm going to big up her boy Tyrone for his performances in the last few days, because not only has his defense been good as per usual, he's been hitting it all over the place. Well, Tyrone, including that one where he almost fell over out of the box and still got a base hit. So yeah, in honor of Tori, we'll big him up. So yeah,
I think whilst we're talking about bigging up players who don't normally get, because Tyrone Taylor, let's face it, doesn't normally get bigged up in the way that
only by Tor.
I'm going to big up Starlin Marte, who's been playing really well lately.
Yeah,
I think credit to him. He's really come back from his groin problems and all the injuries that he's had. We're seeing classic Starlin Marte at the moment, and long may that continue. I've put the curse on him now, haven't I? But long may that continue. Tracey, what about you? What are your thoughts on baseball from last week?
Alec Boehm, you're a whiny beat.
He is though, isn't he?
Well,
Such a
let's not forget,
baby.
a couple of years ago, he was hot mic'd. That'll be his problem. He doesn't like microphones. That's
Got a
I
phobia.
yeah, because he was hot mic'd a few years ago when he said, "I effing hate this place."
Oh, yeah. That was in
About
Philadelphia, wasn't
Citizens Bank Park, yeah. So maybe he's just got now an innate hatred of microphones. I've got a little stat for you. The Mets are 8-0 against the Phillies at the last 8 games at Citi Field.
Not bad.
So
Okay.
we've won the last 8 games at Citi Field. Long may it continue.
Yeah.
And let's not
absolutely.
forget, it started in London.
Yes.
Yes, we are taking full credit for that.
Still.
Yeah, still taking full credit. And it was great to see Nolan McLean have a great second outing. It wasn't just like a one-game wonder. I'm looking forward to the rest of the Phillies series.
Yeah, absolutely. Andrew, anything you want to comment on Mets over the last week?
Yeah, I think we even when we've lost, there were very close games. Again, it was like 5-4 against Washington, and it was a really good comeback. And I think it was McNeil got the runs that day to try and get us back into it. And yeah, it was just so close. And the loss against the Braves, it was 4-3. Again, so close. It just kind of proves that we are coming back, and where before we used to fold, and you could really see in the mentality we really were going to basically falling over. And yet against the Phillies last night, I'm a bit like a Toria really, where I kind of stayed up and watched it, and I couldn't help but to watch it. And seeing the reaction from the players when we were 3-1 down, and then to really kind of ramp it back up with Terenza's home run. Yeah, and again, highlight on Tyrone Taylor. What a player at the moment! He's just smacking everything, and long may that continue. And Vientos as well.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of the reason we're seeing this resurgence from Tyrone Taylor, I'm going to segue into the news with that because that's a really good link. Mendy's reported earlier last week that Jose S, I don't want to say it because I don't want to trigger people's phones, is close to a rehab return. So he's potentially coming back to take that position.
I'd almost forgotten about him, to be honest. Completely off the radar.
That creates an interesting one for the Mets, though, because we've got Mullins as well now. And that's an interesting sort of three-way vying for that one position. Who goes or doesn't go in that one, who knows? Jesse Winker, though, not doing much was Mendy's words, which I thought was quite an amusing way of putting it, but it's sad that we don't get to see Jesse Winker playing baseball. Brandon Sproat, 9 starts in AAA. He's got 48 innings pitched, a 2.05 ERA, 57 strikes, 0.85 whip. Those of you that don't know what whip is, that's walks plus the hits per inning pitched. So because that's basically less than 1 walk or hit per inning he pitches, which is really impressive stuff from someone down in AAA. We also saw him make a move to the bullpen to try coming out from that role instead of starting, just to give him a bit more flexibility in case the Mets need to call him up. Speaking of the minors, Mets re-signed Ali Sanchez, who was with the Mets back in 2020, a while ago. Catcher, he's on a minor league deal, so not likely to see him come up. I think this is very much backup for Senga whilst he's up. He's just going to fill in sort of down there in the minors. Frankie Montas is now on the 60-day IL. He needs right elbow UCL injury, which means he's going to be out for a long, long time with that one. Brazoban was recalled from AAA to fill that spot. Reed Garrett, my doppelganger, is on the 15-day IL with elbow inflammation, which to me, given Garrett's recent form, seems a little bit too convenient. I don't want to say we're doing phantom ILs again, like Nido with his dry eye. It just seems a bit convenient with Garrett, if you ask me.
He did seem a bit tired, though, didn't he? He's been worked like a horse.
Yeah, but I'm not buying this one. It just feels a bit too convenient. If
Could
you
have been a
ask.
contusion, couldn't it?
Yeah,
It's always a good
bruise.
Yeah. Either way, Jose Castillo, the left-hand pitcher, has been called up to replace Garrett in the meantime. Anthony DeComo reporting that Alvarez is nearing rehab assignment stage. We've seen some pictures from SMY and Co. Him holding a bat in a batting cage, so that's promising from Alvy. ESPN has ranked the Mets farm as the best in MLB. Obviously, ESPN is not the de facto on this, but it's nice to have some recognition from someone on our farm, especially given how terrible it's been for a while. And whilst it's not the Mets, it would be completely awful of me not to mention former Met Zach Wheeler, diagnosed with venous thoracic outlet syndrome. The recommendation is he undergoes some sort of decompression surgery on that. He's going to be out for 6 to 8 months. Obviously, Zach was great as a Met, and I'm sure many of us wish he still was a Met based on how he pitches, even though he's a Philly. Interestingly, though, this was the injury that ended Matt Harvey's career. So goes without saying, we all wish Zach the best. We wish him a full recovery on this, because on his day, he's a fantastic pitcher. Even though he's a former Met, still wish him all the best on this one. Right, lots of news, lots of happenings. Tracey, any thoughts on the news from last week?
Ali Sanchez was actually a Met from 2013. He was signed as an international free agent back in 2013. So he was in the Mets system for quite a while, up until 2021 when he left to be a Cardinal. So yeah, interesting. If God forbid that Alvarez's recovery takes longer, he could be one to bring up to fill a spot if need be. But I'm delighted that Alvy looks to be on the mend, because he's one of my favourites at the moment. And as you say, with Wheeler, we obviously wish him all the best, but it ended Harvey's career. Hope it doesn't do the same for Wheeler, and I hope he doesn't need a rib removing like Harvey.
Yeah, it does not sound pleasant, this injury whatsoever.
No.
So yeah, definitely echo on that one. Joe, any thoughts on the news?
Yeah, I was reading a bit about the Zach Wheeler thing, and it was saying that he would probably have to have a rib taken away. But there was also some info saying there's two kind of types of it, and there's like a nerve-related type, and then the type Zach Wheeler's got, and apparently the nerve-related thing is worse, which he apparently hasn't got. So hopefully that's positive. So I think Harvey had the nerve version, or there was another guy as well that had the nerve version. Can't think of his name. So it's going to be a tough recovery, but fingers crossed. But more positive news, I'm seeing some. I think I'm seeing some green shoots of recovery from the bullpen in terms of pitches and things. So I know there's quite a lot of injuries out there. Hopefully the guys that are in at the moment are starting to settle in a bit, especially the new ones. So that's promising. But Senga, I'm still a bit concerned about Senga since the injury, because he's looking a bit ropey still. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I can't help but feel there might be a bit of a niggle still going on there. And I think given the issues with the bullpen, I think he might be trying to just battle through that. Not a sensible move, but I should imagine that's probably what he's trying. I think there's probably a few of them with niggles at this point where they're trying to play through it. But yeah, not good from Senga at the moment. You can see he's definitely going through it. Andrew, what about you? The news from the Mets last week. Any thoughts on what we've said?
Yeah, just following on from the Senga. Do you think just having Senga there just brings the morale up, knowing that he is there, and it's a bit of a morale boost because of how he left? Because it kind of felt like that was the trigger of our kind of blip. So to kind of just have him back is amazing to have him back. But like exactly like you've just said, he doesn't feel, it doesn't look 100%. But at the same time, just knowing he's there, and even when I saw him on the for the Braves game, just hearing the Senga coming out gives everybody that electricity and that kind of knowing he's there and that energy. But yeah, do you think he might have just been pulled back just a little bit too soon? Especially when we could be, fingers crossed, heading towards the postseason, and we could really do with 100% Kodai Senga from what happened before that injury, because he was just unplayable. Would you be tempted to give him a rest at a certain point?
It's a bit of a risky one, giving him a rest. I think in that, you're potentially then going to be sending someone down, or Senga's going to have a phantom IL just so that he can have that rest. You're then looking at either calling up Sproat or I don't want to put this into the world, but Tyler McGill is looking like he's close to coming back as well. And I'd much, I'm sure Tyler McGill's a nice guy, but I'd much rather have an 85% fit Kodai Senga throwing out some starting pitches than a fully fit Tyler McGill. And that's no disrespect to Tyler McGill, but they're just not the same caliber of pitcher.
Bless him. Bless him.
Am I wrong?
His mum will be tweeting us soon if he keeps saying things about him.
Yeah, Mama McGill will be after you. Watch out. But I think a lot of the guys have niggles at the moment. A lot of them do appear to be playing hurt, not hurt enough to be on the IL, but certainly hurt. And I think the other thing with Senga is, although there's still the language barrier, he's got such a personality that it would be a real miss for the guys in the dugout.
Yeah, I'd also liken it to sort of the times when Lindor doesn't play. We miss that sort of presence and that smile. I think, Senga definitely, it's a good point, Andrew. I think Senga definitely does bring something, not just to the players, but the fans as well. I've been there for a Senga start, and hearing the Senga, it is just totally different. It adds to the atmosphere. And I think it's definitely
confidence. And I think it gives the players the same confidence, knowing that, what, we've got our best pitcher out there. He's going to do some damage.
Yeah, that's exactly what we need. Like you say, if we're going for that postseason run, which I know the Mets are, we need every little bit that we can possibly take to try and get us over that line and into that postseason. Usually we do questions, but obviously we've got Andrew on, so we didn't put out any requests for questions. But we did have a good comment from last week's show. So I'm going to hand over to Tracey for this one because she's got all of our comments.
All of them, yes. Right, this one was from YouTube. Don't forget you can watch us on YouTube, Spotify, and all the good podcast places. This is from JMY9595. I have mixed feelings on realignment. I'm for expansion, but not necessarily with the same cities we always hear mentioned. Why is it always south, south, south with Nashville, Charlotte, and maybe Portland? We have two floundering teams already in Florida with stadium and fan base issues. I'd rather see baseball return to Montreal. Started my first Mets road trip in 1991. It's a great city and still has a fan base. I haven't seen too much of the details, but with 8 divisions of 4, we're saying one of every arbitrary grouping of 4 teams will advance. I think a division needs at least 5 teams for competition's sake, or the old West divisions had 4 when there were 28 teams. God help me if my whole life becomes Yankees, Red Sox, and Phillies games.
I mean, that's a fair take. I think, like they've said, that if you split it geographically, there is a real bias towards where the stronger teams are. Obviously, that can change. We can see investment in those teams that were mentioned. But if you are going to take one, if there's 4 teams in the division and the top team then goes through to the postseason, you're losing out on New York, Boston, Philly, like you said, being in the postseason, and then you're giving that space to a quote weaker team like a Marlins or a Tampa Bay. I'm not so sure that Rob Manfred will be behind that idea simply because he's all about growing the game, and they're going to want the big names to be in that postseason year on year, because that's going to draw people to come back, which is why we have Shohei Ohtani rammed down our throat so much, is because he's that big. He is that big draw, though, isn't he? And it's trying to create that Dodger brand and have another brand as well as the Yankees. And if you've got to look at it from the business perspective, and I don't think it's going to be quite as bad as what some of the realignment things were suggesting. I don't think it's going to be that biased. But
is this something that's definitely happening, or is it just like talking about it in the future, or they're definitely thinking about doing it?
Well, Manfred said it's going to happen because of new teams joining MLB. But that's kind of where he stopped it, and then people just ran with it and started coming up with their own.
So so many different options, like alternatives. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, it was said during the Little League Classic. He was interviewed at that point, and he said it's going to happen. It's going to happen geographically, but didn't say, "Oh, teams 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 are going to be this one."
Imagine having the Yankees and the Phillies in our division. Oh, can you imagine? That would be unbearable.
I saw one from The Athletic just after we recorded last week, which didn't have the Yankees or the Bo Sox in our division from memory.
Yeah, had the Pirates and the Nats, for look of it, if I'm looking at the same one.
Yeah, it had the Pirates moving across. And then another team going out to the South Division, which I think was the Marlins from memory.
Yeah.
I don't know. I know it's going to happen, but I like the rivalries between interleague. I know it's not as much of a thing as it used to be, but I still like it.
Yeah, absolutely. I said this was going to come tomorrow, but I always do this thing, like whilst we're talking, I check the socials just to see if anything breaks.
On there?
So
we have news.
Batflips and Nerds have tweeted, ESPN's reporting the London series is now unlikely for 2026 because of West Ham's home schedule. It was scheduled to be Yankees Blue Jays. If you take a look at the Yankees schedule for next year, they have a 3-game series against Toronto from June 12th to June 14th. The Thursday and the Monday of that series are off. So I think that's where they'd penciled it in. But with it being a World Cup year, and I think West Ham and London Stadium and stuff, Batflips are reporting that it is now unlikely to happen. They're sort of regurgitating ESPN on that.
That would be such a backward step in terms of engaging fans, though, wouldn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. What can you do?
Blame West Ham.
Football is stupid.
Stupid football.
Yeah, but surely they knew West Ham's
been out for
fixtures.
ages. Yeah, June, July,
Months.
they come up.
Yeah, but I do have a really, really cute bit of news that has just come through. Andy Martino has said that Francisco Lindor spent most of this morning in the community around City Field. He went to PS20, which is like a primary school, and gave away backpacks with school supplies, which he gave one to each child, and he paid for it personally. That's cute.
That's our captain.
Yeah.
So to wrap things up, let's look ahead to the week ahead. We've got 2 games left against the Phillies at home. We've then got a 4-game stretch at Citi Field against those pesky Marlins. But good news, Saturday and Sunday, UK-friendly games. So we will take that, even if it's the Marlins. Come on, Joe.
But if it's a Sunday and the Marlins, my doom-mongering, it's just, I know what's going to happen. No.
Sunday one is at 6 o'clock as well. So I think you are talking it into existence. We've then got 1 game against the Tigers on the road on Monday. That's also UK friendly. So
that's unusual.
Cheeky Monday night.
I'll take it.
Cheeky Monday night baseball. There we go. So we've got 7 games coming up. Predictions. We'll start with Joe.
I'm going 4-3. Obviously, we'll beat the Phillies twice at home because that's what we do. Marlins, you know what I think about the Marlins and from what I just said? We'll split that series and then we shall, if my maths is right, and then we beat the Tigers. Or we lose, whatever. 4-3 anyway.
Yeah, your maths is a bit off, Joe. We'd have to lose the Tigers game. But I get what you're saying. 4-3, it's all good. Bold claim saying we're going to sweep the Phillies. That's bold.
Tracey told us the starts.
Okay. We'll not
that's it. Blame me.
Okay. Tracey, what's your prediction?
I think we're going to take the next 2 from Philly as well, just because
Yeah, see, I told you.
We need to ram it down the throats while we can.
Yeah, get the microphones out. Everyone go to City Field with a microphone.
Yeah, and scare Alec Bohm. I think Miami, they're on a bit of a streak at the moment. They've won the last 2 games. But I think we're probably going to lose the Sunday game because it's 6 o'clock on a Sunday. It's kind of what we do at the moment. But we're going to take the other 2 games. And the Tigers one really worries me because they're still really hot. And I don't know. We're going to win that game against the Tigers. There we go. I pinched Tori's positive pants. Yeah.
Okay. Revelations there, but carry on.
So 4-3 from Tracey as well. Andrew, let's have your predictions.
I've also gone 4-3. I think, I hate to say it, I think we may lose tonight's game, but then I think we'll win the final Phillies game. For the Marlins one, I've got a funny feeling that we'll end up losing the first Marlins game, but then we'll win the next 3. And then we'll lose to the Tigers because I've recently seen them and they're just awesome at the moment.
Okay, fair shout from Andrew. I'm going to be the negative one again. I'm going to say 3 and 4. Stop rolling your eyes. Come on. I'm going to say 3 and 4 because I think we're going to split the 2 games with the Phillies. I think we're going to split the Marlins as well. And then I think, yeah, like everyone said, the Tigers are too hot. I think they're going to take that game, which is going to tip us into 3 and 4. I'm going to go one step further from Joe. I think both Marlins games that are UK friendly are going to be the ones that we're going to lose, and we're going to have to sit and suffer through it because that seems to be the way at the moment that we suffer through Mets baseball when it's UK friendly. Come on, boys! If anyone's listening from the Mets, please sort it out for the UK friendly games. We just
they
want
tease us.
nice.
They go ahead and they tease us. We're all excited in the group, and then
But I'm hoping your predictions this week go as well as last week, Tom.
Oh yeah, like as always, I am happy to be wrong. Completely. Every time I say this, I'm happy to be wrong.
Just on purpose.
I've just got that feeling. Yeah, why not? We need it at the moment. So,
but he is now allowed in the room when Beatty's at bat.
Yes, that's over that curse.
Yeah, I broke the curse. Yes, I saw a Beatty home run live, so I broke the curse. It's fine.
Yeah.
Right. So on that note, as we were saying, thank you so much for listening. If you've enjoyed it, like, comment, subscribe, share, tell all your friends, tell your parents, tell everyone, shout it from the rooftops. We will be back same time, same place next week, every Tuesday, Spotify, YouTube, all good podcasting hosts, blah, 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 blah. Thank you so much, Andrew, for joining us this week. It's been great having you on. We'll definitely get you back on again. You can find him at Mr. Tree Mets on X. Thank you, Joe and Tracey, for joining as well. And all that leaves us to say, let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets.